tell them what it means. Thou shalt not learn the way of the heathen and how they worship their gods and do the same thing and say you're doing it for me. It's an abomination. You're going to tell them what it means when I say do not name the name of other gods. Don't let them even come out of your mouth. Continue on. Past our parentheses. Verse 13, in Mitzrayim, see, we're right back in Ham's descendants, right? We just had to take a station break to tell us what's going to happen after they go out of the land of Shinar in chapter 11. And then, 15, in Canaan began Sidon, his firstborn, Heth, and the Jebusite, the Amorite, the Girgashite, the Hivite, the Archite, the Sinite, the Arvadite, the Zemarite, the Hamathite, all these ites. These are the ones that came into the land of Israel. Continue on. And afterward were the families of the Canaanites run about. Afterward what? After what? After the Tower of Babel that we don't hear about till the next chapter. It all ties together. You just can't learn everything in one verse. You know, we don't even know that Japheth is the oldest of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Japheth is named last. We don't even know that. And the border of the Canaanites was from Zidon as you come to Gerar. Unto Gaza as thou goest from the Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim. And remember, Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim are the four cities that were destroyed by fire and brimstone. And I know there are people in this audience that didn't get to hold any brimstone in their hands last night. This is from the city of Gomorrah. How many did not get to hold brimstone in their hands last night from the city of Gomorrah? Okay? When we're at the end of this evening, when we take a break, I'm going to put it right up here, okay? Do not steal this. Each one of these pieces is worth about $10,000. This rained down out of heaven 4,000 years ago. If we were to take a match and light it, it would immediately turn into a black, oozing mass of purple flames. We put it on the windshield of the car, it melts right through. The reason it's worth $10,000 a piece, I'm the only one in Albuquerque who has any. I can charge whatever I want. But Shimon Kefa said in the last days the remains of Sodom and Gomorrah would stand as a visible example of our Creator's righteous judgment. And he is long-suffering. He's not willing that any should perish, but there will be a day that righteous judgment comes to this earth, because if not, Hitler, Mao Zedong, and Rockefeller would get away with the extermination of millions and millions of people. Go to now, you rich man, weep and howl for the miseries that are about to come upon you. Come up and grab a piece of the brimstone. Get a smell of that on your hands. Then you'll know what hell smells like just before it's lit. Beautiful. Now, continue on, right here. These are the sons of Ham, after their families, after their tongues, and in their countries, and in their nations. After their tongues, yet we're all one tongue, aren't we, at this point? And unto Shem also, the father of the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder. Who's the oldest? Japheth. Do we find that out? No, it's only in this one verse. That's why we have to read the whole thing and make it all make sense. Why does it say the father of the children of Eber? We got to go fast forward and see all the way into chapter 11 that Eber then begat Peleg. Now, and then we go on right on down. Now we go, why is this important? Because now we're going to go down and see that unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. No, this is not all of a sudden talking about dividing the continents. It's talking about the Tower of Babel, the whole thing about dividing the nations up to their inheritance, confusing the languages. That's what it's talking about. And it's giving us the date frame after the flood of Noah of when this took place. That's what it's talking about. Okay? Continue on. And these are the sons of Shem and their offsprings, and after their families, after the tongues, their lands, and the nations. And so finally, verse 32, and it says, these are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. Now, I have to stop off right here before we get to the Tower of Babel, because I have to tell you what happened to Semiramis. It's unbelievable. Because Semiramis gives birth to little baby Tammuz. You read about it in Ezekiel chapter 8, okay? Israel got into the worship pit of Tammuz, the women weeping for Tammuz. You want to know what that's about? Well, turns out that Tammuz, in his 40th year, is killed in a freak hunting accident and gored to death by a wild boar. So the sun god worshippers set aside one day of weeping for Tammuz for each day of his life, in which they would deny themselves a pleasure in this life for the pleasure of Tammuz in his afterlife. So you had the 40 days of weeping for Tammuz. A while later, his mother Semiramis dies, and, as Babylonian sun god worship tradition has it, she immediately ascends into heaven, the gods name her the Queen of Heaven, and then put her in a giant egg and launch her out of the heavens down to the earth where she lands in the Euphrates River. The egg breaks open and out emerges Semiramis reincarnated as Easter, the bare-breasted sex goddess who turns a bird into an egg-laying rabbit to proclaim her divinity. And so now, the Babylonian sun god worshippers start out the 40 days of weeping for Tammuz with a big sex orgy, which down in New Orleans, what do they call that? Mardi Gras. Are you all you people French? Fat Tuesday, right. Okay, we'll speak English around here. You got me confused. Okay, so we start out with Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, the big sex orgy, the 40 days of weeping for Tammuz, which is now called, what do they call it down there? Lent, okay? And then they finally culminate when Semiramis is sent back from the heavens in this giant egg, and on Easter Sunday, they kill the wild boar that killed Tammuz and eat ham on Easter Sunday. Now you basically have Babylonian sun god worship all wrapped up for you, so you understand Babylonian sun worship that got spread all over the earth. And you thought that was Christianity. It's because no one's teaching us the Torah. Shaul said the Torah is our schoolmaster to lead us to the Messiah. Most people haven't even gone to kindergarten with the schoolmaster. No idea what they're reading. No idea of how to come out of Babylon in the book of Revelation. Completely clueless. You are not among them. Continue on. Genesis 11. The whole earth was of one language and of one speech. It came to pass as they journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, dwelt there, and they said one to another, Go to, which means just the opposite of what you mean when you say and tell someone on the street, Go to. 1611 King James English, it's come now, let us make brick, burn them truly, and they had brick for stone, slime they had for mortar. They were in a hurry, and they built, as it says, a city and a tower, whose top may reach into heaven, and let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the earth. So now it is a collective, an economic, religious, and a political world government system. The novus ordo seclorum of their day, the new world order. And it is under the slavery of Nimrod. And so Yahweh came down to see the children of the city and the tower which the children men built. And Yahweh said, Behold, the people are one, they all have one language, and this they begin to do, nothing will be restrained from them which they imagine. And so, he said, Let's confound the language so that they do not understand one another's speech. And so he scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and so they left off to build the city. They didn't stop altogether. They just left off because the languages were confused. Once the languages are confused, now you divide up into different cultures that continue to fight into war against each other. They cannot get it together to build Nimrod's one world government system. Now we saw this last night. Here is an old painting of the Tower of Babel. And this is the very image that the European Union decided to use for a poster, which is Europe, many tongues, one voice. The European Union stars, the Tower of Babel, as you see, not completed, but now with modern cranes building it, and now as you see, what they have done to build, watch what you're seeing, replace this painting, is the Parliament of the European Union, which is a building that is built to replicate the unfinished Tower of Babel. They are saying, we are rebuilding Babel. We are rebuilding Nimrod's one world government system. The conspiracy is out in the open. We're not going to be able to stop it, but we can still come out of Babylon while living in Babylon. And do not think that you're going to pack your bags and move to Israel and get out of Babylon. You get to Israel, and it is Babylon squared, and I'm not joking. I see a lot of heads nodding from people who have spent a lot of time and even lived there. Continue on. Therefore, is the name of it called Babel, because Yahweh did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence he did scatter them abroad upon the face of the earth. And we touched on this last night, Deuteronomy 32:8, when the Most High divided the nations, their inheritance. When he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel, because he had a plan that he would have his people go into all the world and reconcile the world back to him. Divide up Nimrod's one world government system, divide up and confuse his religious system, and now the servants, the children of the one true God, will be sent out to bring everyone back to the worship of the true God. Go ye therefore into all the world and preach the gospel. That was the commission we received at Mount Sinai. This is what Yeshua said. All authority in heaven and earth have been given unto me. Go ye therefore into all the world. Revelation chapter 1. He has made us priests and kings. The same thing that we offered there at Mount Sinai, to be priests and kings. We have that commission now. That's why Yeshua said, the gospel of the kingdom must be preached in all the world for a witness. That's how we know that we are on his side, when we are doing that. That is why in this ministry we are going no holds barred. That's why every week we are on the edge. I mentioned last night that when we started this conference, Eric asked everyone, if you don't need your paycheck right now, don't ask for it. If you do, we'll give it to you. Because every week we are putting everything to get the message out to the world. Every single week. We are not paying attention to the economy. We are paying attention to his commission. And we are going to do this. And that's why we're asking other people to stand with us to help reach Albuquerque and the state of New Mexico and help keep us on the air and with everything we've got right here on Sun Broadcasting and to get this thing out. I want to turn this place upside down. That's why I'm out there. On Shabbat, 5 o'clock in the morning, walking the streets, praying. What do you want me to do? And I got led to one person this morning. That's all I need, one person at a time. Unless you give me a bigger audience. I'll take them on. Excuse me, we have a station break for water. Easily entertained. Let's have a round of applause. The guy can drink water too. Now, if I were to sing a song while I'm drinking water, okay, but please. All right. Set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. He's got a job for us to do, and we are going to do it. You're invited to join in with us to make this thing happen. Because I'm going to do it whether you do it or not. Because I'm looking to get rewards at the end of this life. Salvation is of grace, reward is of merit. If you don't do anything but sit on your tuchus in a hard oak pew all your life, don't think that there's any reward for that. Where in the scripture does it say to come in and sit down in a hard oak pew and sing songs out of a dusty book? We made that stuff up. supposed to be exciting. Take a look at the book of Acts. People are dropping dead left and right. Demons are coming out of people. People with demons are attacking believers. I mean, that's excitement. That's what we're looking for. Okay, here we go, people. These are the generations of Shem. This is chapter 11. Now we're going to be given the lineage of Shem, and I'm not going to take the time to read it all. But it goes down one after another, and then finally verse 18, Peleg lived 30 years, begat Rue, and he lived after begat Rue 209 years. This lineage allows us to understand when the Tower of Babel was confused, when the languages were dispersed, when the people went out from there. You know, today, because of the Canaanites taking over the land of Israel, I mean, sexual perversion, the curse that came upon them, rife with homosexuality, lesbianism, sex slaves, that's what was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah. Don't think that it was, mutual consent in the closed room. No, they came after those angels. They would have raped those men to death. Do you understand it? This is gross sexual perversion. And I know they just legalized in America where two men can get married. That is sexual perversion. That is sin. And so is adultery with a pastor and a secretary. It's sin. And I don't care if you think you were born that way. Oh, I just got to have sex with somebody else's wife. Well, get over it. Control your mind. I mean, the Torah is like the baseline, okay? The Torah, the commandments are not grievous, they're not too hard. I know, you've been taught your whole life. The reason he gave us the Torah is to prove that nobody could keep it. Who came up with that stupid idea? No, it's the Constitution of the land of Israel. It's common decency. The Torah says, do not have sex with sheep. It does. And I know pastors that say that their Torah has been nailed to the cross. That's why I don't invite them to our Passover meals when we have lambs there. I mean, there's no shame. I mean, what's so difficult about keeping the commandment? I mean, the first incident in the Gospel, Zechariah and Elizabeth, from the lineage of Aaron, if any of the commandments applied to anyone, they applied to them, even more so. But in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord, they were absolutely blameless. That's the first incident. So, here's the baseline. Now we learn to walk by the Spirit. We fulfill our destiny. If you're under the law, I mean, if you're down here, groveling down here, man, you need grace. Grace, which is the divine empowerment to live a holy, a godly, a righteous life in the middle of a sick, twisted, and perverse world. That is what grace is. It's not license to violate the Torah. You got to be an idiot to think that. It's not license. Jude tells us that evil men have come in and turned grace into license. By no means is it license. It's the empowerment to do the impossible. To do the, what does it say in the book of Daniel? That those that know their God will be strong and do exploits. The word exploits in ancient Hebrew means things that would make James Bond cringe under his bed in a fetal position. You probably never looked that word up in a Strong's. It's Strong's number 1,800, I can't even remember, okay. Something about James Bond fetal position. Okay, look it up. Okay, continue on here. Alright, so now Reu begat Sarah, begat Nahor, Terah. Now we're getting familiar. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. No, he didn't have triplets. Abram is born in his 130th year, and the oldest is born in the 75th year. Okay? And it says that they left the land of their nativity, Ur of the Chaldees. And so it was around 296 years after the Tower of Babel that Abraham left Chaldees to go into the land of Canaan. Why did he go there? Because Yahweh had said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, from thy kindred, from thy father's house, and to a land that I will show you. He is telling Abraham to come out of Babylon, to cross over the Euphrates River, to go to where I show you, the promised land. And your descendants are going to go down into Egypt, where they will be enslaved. And when the sins of the Amorites, which is one of the family of the Canaanites, these sick, twisted, perverse people, when it comes to a full, I'm going to bring them out. And they're going to take over this land. They're going to expunge every last pagan sun god worship festival. They are going to completely subdue the land. And I'm going to give them the land sitting in all of the trade routes of the world. They will be a beacon of light to the entire world. You know, and Nebuchadnezzar will tell you this. Every Canaanite ruins that's dug up, there's a statue of Easter there. What is the statue of Easter? Basically, it's an ancient handheld clay centrifuge. You look at these, you can buy them in the streets of Israel. I wouldn't buy one. You can buy them for $5,000, $3,000. You can buy yourself an ancient Canaanite Easter in the land of Israel right today. And you look at this thing and think it's ugly. Well, that's until the spirits that come out of it. Same things, ones and zeros on a screen today. So now you understand what Easter is all about. That's why the symbol for Playboy is the bunny. Okay? It's all the goddess of fertility. It's the same spirit. Understand this. Okay? Okay, I'm sorry. We had to learn it here because they're not going to teach that in Sunday school. Come out of Babylon. Fast forward, now we're going to go to the book of Revelation. Hold on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen, because the last 5 weeks that we were in Israel, we were spent day and night going through the chronological Gospels, and we're on the final edits now. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, and the Revelation. The first 4 Gospels all in chronological order. 250 individual incidents in Yeshua's life and ministry, sometimes up to 10 categories under that. And what I've done is brought together every single gospel author's record of the identical incident and bring it so that you can read all of what the screenplay is all about. See, I'm the producer of a 3D HD movie, and I have absolutely unlimited budget. I'm looking for a director. I'm going to put a screenplay in front of you where I've assembled 4 witnesses that gives all the background, and I want you to read everything they have to say about it, because when you look at that, in that context, it explodes before your eyes, and you're going to see this movie play out in your own mind, and there is absolutely no budget on this. You can run this movie in your mind, and it's worth trillions of dollars. That's what it's going to be like. Everyone who's read this has brought them to tears. I cry all the time while I'm working on it. It's like, what an incredible thing this is. It's never been done before. No one has done it. Every chronology of the Gospels is a joke in the Western world. The Gentiles are trying to interpret a Jewish book. As I say, let the Gentiles interpret the Jews interpret all the books they've written, and at the end of the night, I'll give the Gentiles plenty of time to interpret all the books they've written. There are none in the Bible, okay? So I get there to the book of Revelation. I'm working on it for 2 weeks straight, day and night. And when you get to the 17th and 18th chapter of the book of Revelation, you see something blow up in front of your face. The Almighty does not waste His words. You've got to see this. Now, chapter 18. I saw an angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lit with His glory. He cried mightily with a strong voice, Babylon the Great has fallen! Has fallen! You see words repeated twice, that is volume, that is emphasis. And when you see where this sits in the book of Revelation, it is the culmination. 2 whole chapters, the destruction of the Babylonian system. You've got to be able to put this on for me, Tyler. You got that? Okay? All right, good. I just want to make sure it's okay. It's become the habitation of demons, the prison of every foul spirit, the cage of every unclean and despised bird. I heard a voice from heaven, and when you see this in the book of Revelation, that voice from heaven is from the Messiah himself. Yeah. When you see what happens, these beasts before the throne, with the eyes covering these wings, and when they shout holy, the entire universe shakes. And when YAHUAH walks in, they hit their face. This is the revealing of him and his authority and the power. All power have I received. He's been given that authority from the Heavenly Father. And when he shouts down in a voice that shakes the world, "Come out of her, Babylon! Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not her plagues. Come out of Babylon." Do you want to know what Babylon is? Judgment is going to come to Babylon. 2 chapters laying this out. Chapter 9, we start seeing of it, because judgment starts falling. They did not repent of their murdering, nor of their pharmakia, nor of their sexual perversions, nor their stealing. It's an order. Stealing is on the bottom. Murder is on the top. Pharmakia is number 2. Sexual perversion is number 3. I call an FDA a whorehouse as being mild. Watch this. Revelation 17. One of the 7 angels which had the 7 bowls of wrath said, "Come here, and I will show unto you the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters." We're not going to read the whole thing, but we do know the kings of the earth have fornicated with her, made the inhabitants of the earth drunk with the wine of her sexual perversions. And so, finally, it says, upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. She is a harlot, and she gives birth to what? Harlot. Right. Harlot. Okay. Continue on. All of 17 and 18 is talking about the destruction of this system that must go down. The entire system is going to come crashing down, and when it does, entire islands are sunk. Mountains come crashing down. 100-pound chunks of hail completely bury entire cities. Civilizations are gone. It's over with. It is the greatest cataclysm in the history of the planet. The entire system is going down. It tells us as we go through and read verse after verse through these 2 chapters, over and over and over. And the merchants of the earth are going to weep and mourn for her. They are going to stand off and cry and weep and wail. And it says, the light of the candle will shine no more in all me, and the voice of the bridegroom is never going to be heard in me ever again, because, and you cannot exert yourself in this word, because the merchants of Babylon, the ones that loan trillions of dollars to one country to do war against another country, to which they loan billions of dollars, so that they then put them all into receivership, so they own entire nations. The merchants of Babylon, the money makers, the ones that make the whole system go around, are the great men of the earth. The one who, behind closed doors, conspire together with the kings of this earth in order to enslave the entire earth, to bring us all back under Babylon, Nimrod's one world government system, to reduce the earth's population to 500 million people, their stated goal. Because, keep it up there, the great men of the earth are the merchants of Babylon, and all nations are deceived by their pharmakia. telling us about a time that has not yet happened. But we are now living in that time, or it's in a time future to us. But Yeshua said, unless those days will be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. Mankind is going to bring himself to the brink of destruction unless the Almighty intervenes. And he has to destroy Babylon because the rulers of this earth who have conspired together, who are the merchants of Babylon, have lied to the entire world by their pharmakia. And it has to be destroyed because of their pharmakia. Now, as soon as I saw this is like, now it's blowing my mind, because this is the answer to my prayer 3 years before. What is Babylon? What is it that I have to know? This is just another layer of it, ladies and gentlemen. And the first thing that comes up to my mind on this thing when I see this, and I'm beginning to understand that in the grocery stores, I'm walking in grocery stores, and I have with my daughters, by the time they were 6 years old, if you can't read the label, we don't buy it. Okay? Because this is not food. I'm going to show you from the Hebrew scriptures what food is, what YAHUAH is. I'm going to show you because this is not food. It is pharmakia. It tastes like food used to taste like. It looks like food used to look like, except Doritos. I've never seen that on the tree. You look at the ingredients, it is created in a laboratory. And if it weren't for the chemical additives and the excitotoxins like MSG that do destroy brain cells, but it tricks your taste buds into thinking that it tastes good. Otherwise, it's like eating cardboard. And there's no nutrition in it. It does nothing but damage you on the cellular level, and we are being fed this stuff and told that it's food. I was shocked when Dr. Tunsky did this scan on me because, I had over $100,000 in value of work done by the VA. He hooked me up to a machine which in less than an hour, he read this thing out to me. In less than an hour, he told me everything, that all these tests I'd gone through, and then he told me where I had been eating hamburgers 10 years before. And it was dead on, because they know what poisons are put in by different fast food chains to get you addicted to it and to make you think this garbage is food. Unbelievable. It's true, is it not, Gary? Many of you have seen it. The same thing. Identifying exactly what poison we've been putting in it because of pharmakia. Now watch this next verse. This is unbelievable. And in Heidelberg was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints and all those that were slain upon the earth. Oh, you wonder why I put that in? Oh, I put it in italics because anytime the King James translators added a word that's not in the original text, they put it in italics to let us know it wasn't there. But see, I found it in Heidelberg. I was there with my daughter. I was filming this little short thing, and in the back I had the Heidelberg Museum film or frame between my daughter and I. I said what I was going to say. My daughter then translated it into German, because I was doing a German tour. After we did this, I said, let's go over to the Heidelberg Museum. Excuse me, over to the Heidelberg Castle. We went over there and found it to be the Pharmakia Museum for all of Europe. And I'm going to take you there, ladies and gentlemen, right now to Heidelberg Castle, the Pharmakia Museum, to begin to tell you the story real quickly. We are in the ancient castle here in Heidelberg, Germany, at the Pharmakia Museum. This is the Pharmakia Museum for all of Europe. And it is in this room that we go back in history to the time that the leaves of the trees were given for the healing of the nations. We understand from the scriptures that in the book of Genesis, we were given the trees in which there is fruit with the seed therein,
And it is in that scope that we are given everything that we need for the human body to sustain itself and to heal itself from any disease. We are going back to the garden. In the book of Revelation, it tells us that, again, the leaves of the trees are given for the healing of the nations. Here in this museum, we're going to take you through time so that you can see that what started out with the simple herbs, the leaves of the trees, in which men understood the very things that we need for the body to sustain itself, is then finally turned into what the scripture says in the last days, that the great men of the earth, the merchants of Babylon, will use pharmakia to deceive the nations of the world.
Road after road. They go through, start out with the least extreme, and we go through history to show the development. And then, by the time we get to the end, after they've now been able to compound this stuff down, we come to the end, and what we have are carbon chain constructs created in a laboratory from experiments done on Jews by IG Farben, the fourth largest corporation on the planet, who supplied through their subsidiaries the Zyklon B gas to gas 6 million Jews. That's what's created in and shows right there in front of your face, ladies and gentlemen. This is where they've gone. From the leaves of the trees, which feed our body on the cellular level everything that it needs so the body will heal and repair itself, now they have dumped into our entire system its pharmakia. Now when I saw that, I thought, where in the Torah, where in the prophets is the word pharmakia? Where did the prophets ever speak of pharmakia in the last days? Now how many of you know I already have a problem? Pharmakia is a Greek word. But I don't have that big a problem because I've been working the book of Revelation all this time, because the Septuagint, the Greek translation of the Torah and the prophets, was done 200 years before Yeshua was born. And so when I have a Greek word in the New Testament, then I go back and find out where they used it in the Torah and the prophets to know back in those days what Hebrew word was then used to put over into Greek, and that gives me a more full perspective of what its meaning may have been back in the first century. So, I look it up, and bam, I'm going to take you right there. Isaiah 47. Look at this. Daughters of Babylon. It's about the last day's destruction of the Babylonian system. Daughters of Babylon. What do we call daughters of Babylon? Harlot. You got it. It's harlot. She's the harlot. They're the harlots. These two things shall come upon you in a moment, in one day. The loss of your children are going to drop dead. You're going to find them with monkey viruses and tumors at 2 years of age. Childhood diabetes, your children dying, dropping dead like flies in a moment, one day. And widowhood, your husband dying before their time. This will happen, daughters of Babylon. They shall come upon you as a result of the proliferation of your pharmakia and the profusion of your pharmakia associations. You have trusted in your sick, twisted wickedness, and you think no one sees me. Your wisdom and your knowledge have perverted you. You said in your heart, I am, and there's none else beside me. Yeah, we're just a result of millions of years of average chance mutations. Trust me. You can trust the government, just ask any Indian. You said in your heart, I am, there's none else beside me. This is the reason why evil will overwhelm you, and you will not understand from whence it came. Great trouble will fall upon you, and you will not be able to shrug it off. Desolation shall come upon you suddenly, which you cannot possibly comprehend. Until it destroys your children, your grandchildren, you have no idea of that desolation. When Go ahead. Go ahead. Stand with your pharmacy associations and with the proliferation of your pharmacy which you've labeled from your youth. If you're able to profit from them, so be it. If so, you'll prevail. But I don't think so. Okay, I added it in italics. This is where we are in America and in the world today. Cornflakes was designed by a doctor for health food. 95% of the corn in America is genetically modified. We have no idea what it's doing to us, but we know it kills honeybees, right? They don't have 100 trillion cells. They have a few left, and it'll kill them just like that. It takes a little longer to kill us on our watch as we go in. We're going to take a break in a minute, but I want you to understand, no pharmacia. No pharmacia. Remember this. Watch for this label. Any statement by the FDA concerning the safety or effectiveness of any pharmacia to prevent, treat, or cure disease has been paid for by bribes from pharmaceutical corporations and should be considered fraudulent and potentially deadly. That is what ought to be on every package in America. Burn it into your brain. Children, if your parents are driving by McYuckies and they say, let's stop in for a meal, what are you going to say, children? No pharmacia. Okay, practice it, children. Just children under the age of 12. No pharmacia. Okay, adults. No pharmacia. We are going to take a stand in Walgreens' war against childhood diabetes. No pharmacia. We're going to march on suicide prevention in America. No pharmacia. We are going to obey exactly what the Almighty told us to do. Come out of Babylon. And how do we come out of Babylon? Why is Babylon destroyed? Because of their pharmacia. Why does he have to destroy all of the life in the sea? What did the little fishies do that's so bad? Nothing. It's what we did to the little fishies that it has to start all over again. This is deadly. The Spirit of holiness is leading us out of Babylon and back to the garden. We are told to come out of Babylon. And so we are going to become kosher. That's right. There's Glock kosher, there's Mehadrin kosher, but that's not kosher, ladies and gentlemen. The rabbis kosher cigarettes. They kosher pure poison. Pharmacia. There's a new level. Watch for this label in your grocery stores. Tube kosher. Tube kosher. Coming out of Babylon kosher. Burn it into your brain. Well, I went a little bit longer than I wanted to right now, but I'm not through. So we're going to take a break here in just a few minutes. But before we do, I know Arthur has promised before that we're going to give you an opportunity to give tonight. And of course, there will be some people that gave last night. We do thank you for your tithes and offerings. We want to give others an opportunity to give tonight and to stand with us. Maybe you've had more thoughts about it and you want to help us on a deeper level. And please consider standing with us month by month, because that's what we're doing. I mean, we just stopped it tonight. And we would like to, on this Out of Babylon tour, it's basically putting us in the hole to do it. And, it's unbelievable to put so much energy into something and to see it turn like this, but we also know that for many of us, it's the first time that we get to meet each other face to face. You got a DVD, you watched it on YouTube, it changed your life. Now it's your responsibility to stand with us to help to change someone else's life. That's why we can do this. How can you come into this place? We didn't get on the road. We pulled up to a gas station. Hey, we're in ministry. Hey, go ahead and fill it up. It's on us. Come on in. Have a meal. No problem. It's on us. Everything's free. We blow a tire. We pull into a Walmart. We say, we're in ministry. Oh, everything everything is on us. It's free of charge. Right. Okay, you get it. I mean, it's a joke. No, we pay for everything in this life. There is no free lunch. And you get to hear it because someone else took a stand. Why do we have no charge to come into these things? Well, I think we had a minimal thing on here because we wanted people to, so many places we didn't have a charge at all, just register. And we'd have like 25% of the people not show up. It's like, what an insult. It's like, man, I mean, we're putting on a feast. We're inviting you into the house, and you don't even bother to show up. You tell us you're coming, and you don't show up. I mean, what kind of insult is this? I know what Yeshua says, when he said, a king invited everyone to come, and everyone's got an excuse at the last minute. And he says, okay, then just go to hell. No, I think he said, go out and invite everyone, but everyone came in, and people came in without a wedding garment on. And he said, what do you think you're doing here? You got invited free of charge, you show up, and you dress like that? Get out of here! Do you remember that? This is our opportunity to reach the world. Whether you help me or not, I'm doing it. And I know the scripture says that, the Levites are restricted to what they can do and what they can have in life. I don't get to have what you have. But what I do have, I do my best to get the gospel to people. But those who are fed by the Levites, they're responsible to come. We're responsible to take care of the Levites. Whether they're in Jerusalem, serving the temple, which is in disarray, destroyed, or sojourning among the people and ministering among the people. Well, that's where it's at. So we're going to give you an opportunity to do that right now. And I'm not ashamed, Arthur, you can say that. I'm not ashamed to ask you. I'm not ashamed because, I don't get a paycheck. I just on the royalties. Everyone else gets royalties. We give everyone the royalties on all the stuff that we sell at other ministries and all. If I got my royalties, I can live very well. But no, we pour it all back in, and we just keep this thing going. This summer, I got the word. Eric said in June, July, that I could get a paycheck. I said, good. Hire another advocate. So I have to have plans with us. Because that's what we're doing, ladies and gentlemen. It's a no-holds-barred attack on the world, and this is what we're doing. So I'm going to pray right now, and you can also give with your credit card. Don't get up now and do it. You can do it at the back. You can go back to the bookstore and handle it that way. If you want to give with a credit or debit card, you can make checks out to a Root Awakening. We are a non-profit in South Carolina. I am not a 501c3. If I were, the FDA could just come up and put the bracelets on me right now. All right? You just can't get away with what I said tonight. All right? Now, and I'll tell you a little bit more later. But, and so, I would like to pray. And we have men back there that are prepared. And so I'm going to pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to be together tonight. And I thank you for the pain that I went through so that I would have my eyes open to Babylon. I thank you for putting me with my arms around these little children, all of them who are so badly damaged, so that I can share the pain of their parents. So now I can help others not go through that pain. We want to be obedient to you. Teach us what Babylon is, and that we can get out. And I ask now that as we are doing our best, Heavenly Father, to get the gospel of the kingdom out to the world, that you will, with every gift that is sown, every seed that is sown, that you will multiply it to the outreach of your word, that you will allow us to reach out, and that you will multiply back to the giver, to the sower, that seed in the time of trouble ahead. That you will be their provision in the time ahead as they are provision for the needy right now. This, I pray, those who give even as much as a full cup of water to one who comes and speaks in your these men are coming up, and I think you probably already should be up here, so go ahead and double time because we don't have a whole lot of time to wait. We've got a lot of stuff to share with you folks tonight. I want to tell you something about something else here, because taking care of the Levites is one part of our tithe, but it's not the whole thing. My wife is already back there at the Lydia table. Let me tell you something happened years ago in Israel. Someone came over and brought an offering to us to help us in our production. They also gave me $2,000, said, we want you to sow this and to help take care of widows and orphans in the land of Israel. We prayed about it. I socked that $2,000 away upstairs in my room. We had nowhere to get it. We knew nothing about what to do with that money. And it was about a month later, and we were out of money. Our entire production company, we got $100 left. We can hardly buy diapers for one of the families. So we get around the dining room table, and this is where we all work. This is our desk. It's everything. And so we're praying, and while I am praying about our needs for our ministry and our production, I see this picture come just vividly. I see exactly where I have that $2,000 sitting. And so immediately, okay, I know what to do. I immediately began to pray. Father, show us where we can find the widows and orphans that we're supposed to tithe this to. We may be in need, but there are widows and orphans that need this, and it's upstairs, and we don't know what to do with it. 2 days later, the revelation comes, and we saw it, and we know this is exactly where it's to go. A few days later, the windows of heaven open up and poured everything we need. The next thing, what you're watching me on that boat out in the Yangtze, I could pay for that boat, and we could get down there and film that thing. I wanted to take you down to that location and do it. Years passed, and we kept on sowing into this. And this became something my wife was heart's desire to do. And you know, it's really the women. You're the ones with the nesting instinct. You're the ones that have the babies. You're the ones that lose your husbands. You're the ones that know that we need to take care of each other in these times. And my wife got a phone call. This man young man, 24 years of age, lay dying in the hospital. She went up there to pray for him. They prayed for him, but he passed away that night. Left a wife, 4 children, and one in the womb. He and his wife were both orphans, Jewish orphans, in Russia. And they were rescued out of Russia by a woman, a Messianic believer, who lost her husband and was left with 2 little children. She made YAHUAH to Israel, and in her grief, the Holy Spirit ministered to her, and she adopted 15 Jewish orphans, brought them to the land of Israel, raised them up in the nurture and admonition of the Messiah. And now these 2 orphans married, and now their children are in need. And so we step in. See, we take care of the poor, the widows, the orphans, and the victims of care in the land of Israel. In the last 3 years, we've given away over $300,000 in the land of Israel. For some ministries, that's not a lot. For us, it's a lot. See, we knew that we were taken care of when we sowed in, and we took care of the widows and orphans, and so we started inviting other people to join in. If they want to tithe in, and that we would then do that, and that's what my wife does. Jill takes care of the Lydia Project, and we have things back at this table, back there, that are one-of-a-kind, beautiful works of art back there, that have been given by people and individuals right here in this room that want to help the poor widows and orphans. They don't have a lot of money themselves, but like Dorcas, who has just a gift for this. One of these things, they quote back there, ancient Paleo Hebrew. The suggested donation is $10,000 for that. Why? Because the person that made it knows that it's worth $10,000. And if one person here gives $10,000 and takes that home and hangs it on their wall, both of you have helped $10,000 worth in the land of Israel. Not just you, but them as well. So they get to be a part of this. So, we see this all the time. Women are the ones that really have a heart for this, and, the men, our job is to go out and earn the money. So, husbands, if your wife comes up to you and says, honey, I need $500, don't Judith back there, and she's going to and see what she can do to get involved. Okay? Now, just before we take a break, many people have been asking about this. I want to take you on a very quick journey here. I think we've got something back here, Connor. Okay? I want to tell you, these videos that we did have done in Israel. We have 170 television programs, about 26 volumes on this. The first volume, Out of Babylon, right here. I take you to the city of Sodom and Gomorrah out in the desert, and tell the story, give you the background, and this is the thing that will change people's lives because they see this is real. Episode number 2, then we start exposing Babylon. I'm sitting there in a full Santa Claus suit in front of the Christmas tree, telling you the background of the worship of Moloch and Chemosh that Nehemiah got into a little bit. Because when you tell people this, if you're sitting there dressed like Santa and they can laugh at you, it helps. This is a great stocking stuffer, ladies and gentlemen. This is an absolute treasure. The ancient paths out of Babylon. The road to Emmaus. I take you on the road to Emmaus and tell you the story in what YAHUAH was teaching his disciples, that it says that he opened their understanding, they understood, and it changed their life. It put them on fire. This will set you on fire, and then the episode on the name. Okay? Now, as I'm talking about this, the third volume, the hem of the garment, let no pagan judge you. Both of these are critical. You're going to understand this garment, the hem of the garment, and also, see, this is the original tallit. The prayer shawl is an adaptation of this worn garment. The tallit katan, worn under the clothing, is an adaptation. We have another adaptation. You saw me wearing it earlier today. This is the micro tallit. In order to be rabbinically kosher, it has to be split up 2/3 of the way. These are split up 3/4 of the way. It is rabbinically kosher. People in the IDF and in Israel are wearing these. It's a 4-cornered garment, and it has a tzitzit on them. Are you wearing some right there, Arthur? Stand up there. Show everyone. Okay, he's got it. Yeah. Okay, so you wear this on your belt. It's a worn garment, and it reminds you not only to keep the commandments, but all day long people are going to be asking you about this. And you're always ready to give an answer to every man that asks a reasonable hope that's in you with fear and trembling, as long as they do the fear and trembling. I'm not going to be trembling. This is it. Now, different colors for different things. Well, here's the big moon, and then we have one for the southwest. This is beautiful. YAHUAH on it, and then the symbol here. I'll tell you about that later. But see, you wear different ones. It's like ties. We no longer wear, this thing pointing wherever. No. Instead, we wear a micro tallit. And, you wear it with your tuxedo, you wear it with your dress suit, you wear it with your blue jeans, you wear it to work. This is, you wear it with your dress shirts and all that. You have a wardrobe of these, ladies and gentlemen. And so these are available to you, and that's all about the hem of the garment here. Oh, then we have the real Mount Sinai, the Red Sea crossing, both of these. This one, Red Sea crossing, English and Spanish. Get this, these are great things. I mean, this is our testimony. We can get this into people's hands. The Great Secret of Solomon's Temple. This is the best 2.5 hours of my life. I will never be as young, talk as fast, or tell you anything as important as what's here. This is the hiding of the Ark of the Covenant, where it is, and its prophetic significance for the last days. You're going to learn about the sand hydraulic elevator system in Solomon's Temple and how they hid the Ark of the Covenant during the siege of Nebuzaradan. Absolutely incredible. Then you can go on the spring and fall feast of the Lord. The spring feast of the Lord is how YAHUAH fulfilled the spring feast as prophetic shadow pictures of good things to come. The fall feast is the book of Revelation, how the Messiah will fulfill the fall feast. If you do not understand the spring feast, you will never understand the Gospels. If you don't understand the fall feast, you will never understand the book of Revelation. It's plain and simple. 13 hours of life-changing adventures in this. Filmed partially at the Lustrous Emeralds Television Studios and in the land of Israel. The Mystery of Solomon's Labor. This is a prophetic time clock embedded in Solomon's Labor. You need to understand. This is the one done by Nehemiah Gordon and myself. This is is where you learn about the gospel of the kingdom that Yeshua taught. And the companion book, Nehemiah wrote to this, the Hebrew Yeshua versus the Greek Jesus. Get them both. This will change your life. Then the next one, I invited Nehemiah to come in again with me and to teach the Creator's calendar. 4.5 hours. Everything that you ever need to know about the Creator's calendar is in this, and the companion. Every year we publish the astronomically and agriculturally corrected biblical Hebrew calendar. Every year we do this. Now, his calendar is really in the heavens. This teaches you the calendar. Everything is mathematically calculated, and every page, and of course we've got articles that tell you all about the restoration of the calendar, how it was done, and above every biblical date, which is the lunar calendar, we have the pagan date. Because while you're learning the Creator's calendar, if you ever lose track of what the biblical date is, you leave your house, walk down the street, and find a pagan and ask him what the date is. You come home and look right down below the pagan date, there's the biblical date. It's like we thought of everything. You are going to love this, okay? And there is not a rabbinic scholar in the land of Israel that has any doubts about the veracity of what we teach here. It's only Gentiles who want to come up with some new and strange calendar every week. But this is how it was done in the temple. And I'll tell you why I did it. Started over 35 years ago to do the chronological Gospels, and the ancient calendar has to be understood. But it was not yet restored when I began the process. That's why now I can do the chronological Gospels. Absolutely fascinating. Then the next one, the Jonah Code. I think that's next. 10 hours. Tyler was there here with me in Israel. It took me 5 months, 70 hours to teach this. I did it in 10 hours. This is the thing. This is the pastors' and teachers' favorite thing. Arthur Bailey, when I began the Jonah Code in Grand Rapids, after the first night, Arthur asked if he could get up and say something. He said that you could spend the next year in 8 years in Bible school and theological seminary, and you would not learn a fraction of what you learned in the first night, the first half. He said, I know it and I can say it because I spent my time. I got my degrees, and this is where I got my answers. That's not true, Arthur. This will change your life. This is where you'll learn the Jonah Code. You'll learn how to count to 3. There's only one sign, Yeshua said, of his authenticity. The sign of the prophet Jonah. 3 days and 3 nights in the great fish's belly. He would be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth, in the grave, and raised on the 3rd day. Yet in our culture, we've been told all our lives that he died on Good Friday when Dagon the fish god is worshipped. For I grew up eating fish in public school in Michigan as a young child, and then he then arose on Easter Sunday when Nimrod's wife was reincarnated as the bare-breasted sex goddess. Einstein couldn't get 3 days and 3 nights between Good Friday and Easter Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. It's pagan sun god worship. Learn about the Passover. Learn what Yeshua did, and know the Last Supper was not Passover. Oh no, I just blew your mind. Michael Rood exposed the confessions of a cult leader. This is my testimony. I condensed it down to about 2 hours. This is really his story in my life. And you're going to like this. This is going to answer all the critics. There are people out there, oh yeah, they say, oh, we can't find any proof that he ever lived in Michigan. Oh, like that's some big honor. We can't find any proof. We checked all the apple orchards in Michigan. We can't find any proof that he ever lived on an apple orchard because I said I understand what a peck is. We can't find any proof that he was ever in the Marine Corps. So I get disinvited to places because somebody can't find that I had any proof when I was in the Marine Corps. So I had my mother say, Mom, let's see, was I born in Michigan? Okay, did we ever live on an apple orchard? Okay, was I in the Marine Corps? But see, they put this stuff out to make me look like a liar. And it's just insane. You cannot keep up with the lies out there. They make them up faster than you could possibly hire 50 people to answer. They're just pure lies. That's why we put all our stuff free of charge up, so you can send people and say, don't listen to the idiots who repeat what other idiots say. Don't listen to what he says. Judge him on what he says. That's why it's all up there. Okay. Who is your unauthorized covering? You want to find out what the doctrine of the Nicolaitans is that Yeshua hates? This is it, people. You want to hate what he hates? Get a hold of this. Unfortunately, the doctrine of the Nicolaitans is a framework upon which entire Western Gentile Christianity has been based. I'm sorry if I messed your life up, but here's more. The mikvah, the doctrine of baptisms. I teach it right there in the Jordan River itself about the mikvah, the doctrine of baptisms. As Hebrews says, the doctrine of baptisms being one of the foundations of the faith. But we know nothing about baptism except how it's been manipulated in our particular denomination. There are 6 baptisms in the New Testament. Who teaches us about this? I did. And then we have the beating of Balaam's ass, prophetically speaking. This is a real treasure, ladies and gentlemen. The Almighty downloaded this just before the Feast of Trumpets told me to teach on Balaam, then gave the code to understand Balaam's parable as an end-time prophecy. Wait till you see this. I can't tell you any more about it right now. I get too excited. You got to get this. Learning to walk by the Spirit the hard way. A couple hour, 2.5 hour introduction to the book of Acts. And that's what the book of Acts is. Learning to walk by the Spirit the hard way. The former treatise have I written unto you, O Theophilus, of all that Yeshua began to do and preach until the day he was taken up. That's the book of Luke. After that, he gave commandments to his apostles by way of the Holy Spirit. That's the book of Acts. They mess it up. People end up dead. They choose the wrong person to fulfill Judas's place because no one told them to go and do that. And they choose somebody you never hear from again. Well, the Messiah already has a plan for YAHUAH. You're going to see great stuff in this, people. Don't think you're going to get everything right the first time. Read the book of Acts. The sermon that few people want to hear, my take on the Sermon on the Mount. When the brimstone hits the fan, a few last-minute instructions. The chronology of the Revelation. You want to understand the book of Revelation? This is an absolute treasure. Over 2.5 hours on DVD. Reggie White, the greatest day of my life. This is when I interviewed Reggie right after Nehemiah takes him out. It wasn't the Super Bowl that was the greatest day. You need to find out what it was. Winning the Super Bowl is nothing. Oh, then we got a Rude Awakening, Shavuot. This is Nehemiah, Keith, Arthur, myself, all the crew at Shavuot. This is a treasure. This is the Smithfield Revival revisited. The entire weekend here, very, very good. Hanukkah 6010, the entire weekend of teaching on Hanukkah, and then we back it up with Hakanah on Hanukkah, the CD. Now, then we have the Jonah Code, the entire Jonah Code on CD rather than DVD. This is especially good for truck drivers or for the blind. They don't need to see it. And it's doubly effective for blind truck drivers. This really does it, okay? This is the Jonah Code, and then the Messiah's first and last message to Israel. Absolutely tremendous. The Messiah's 70-week ministry, all of these are on CD. Then, the Pagan Christian Connection Exposed. One of my books, what's the other one up there? The Mystery of Iniquity, just ran out. They're putting more at Bridge Logos to send around to the world, and so be sure to order this. Sorry to tell you, if I haven't broken the news before now, I was raised as an ultra-dispensational, pre-tribulation, secret rapturist. But I have to confess that I lied. There is no pre-tribulation rapture. Thus saith Yahweh. There may be a hard way to break it to you, but after 20 years of preaching it, I was wrong. Dead wrong. You need to get out from under the trap that's been set by false prophets, such as myself, who repeated the denominational party line, okay? And that's how you do it. Too many extras on the set, some beautiful stuff here, and then we have Arthur Bailey's videos that we filmed in our studio, Arthur Bailey's testimony, the New Covenant, Acts 15, the First Jerusalem Council, what do we do with those Gentiles? And keeping Torah, living Spirit-filled. Absolutely great work there, along with his book, Sunday is Not the Sabbath. Then we have Keith in Nehemiah's book, A Prayer he is living this stuff. He's getting this message out around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I just found out that they've packaged everything up. Oh, my goodness. We've got Karen's CDs, her music CDs here for your praise and worship extravaganza in your home. Everyone needs to go ahead and get 4,600 watts of power like we have here so that Karen can live and breathe in your own home with her CDs. And then we have Jimmy Black CDs here. This is a man that I crank up to the top of the volume. And now I've got Karen to be able to turn on too. But we got his CDs back. And then The Heavens Declare by Andrew Hodgkinson from South Africa. You've heard it. This is beautiful, beautiful stuff. I heard the first one. They had me played it for me in Jerusalem. And he said, can we get him? I said, get him. After flying from the moon, he said, okay, do it. And they said, no, it's only South Africa. Do it. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for coming. Okay? And then, of course, in the Keith video, on the Hell and Name Revealed. So that's what we got here for you, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I forgot. They brought this box up. Here it is. This is it. This is what you've been waiting for. This is the Everything Microwave Package. $680. It's 40% off. This is worth, my goodness, when they told me that, this is worth $1.5 million. $1.5 million. It's taken my whole life to do this, and they just threw in, which never comes with this, the whole Shavuot experience. $680. Ladies and gentlemen, if you get this and take it home in 1 month, you'll know everything I know, plus what you already know. You'll be twice as smart, and you can get out and do the same thing and turn the world upside down, and we can all do it together, okay? So, $680. I mean, I'm embarrassed. You guys are insulting me. It should be $1.5 million, and I'm going to raise the price at the end of this meeting back to 1.5. So there it is. Have at it. Enjoy the bookstore. We'll be back in a few minutes, okay? I'm going to take you the rest of the way, okay?